What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are recapping another fun weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles. Joining me, he is Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
I'd say a surprising weekend. You know, even if they, I hit my mute button. Even if they won, I don't think very many people expected it to be in a way where they really dominated the football game, especially in that second half. So a lot of fun. So a lot of what I think we've all been hoping to see from this team. And it's, hey, listen, they're 5-2. You know, all the drama of this season, and they're 5-2, and they're right there, you know, a notch below Detroit as you know, top of the NFC behind them.
That's wild, man. That is a wild process. We've got Daniel in the house. What's going on, Daniel? Thanks for joining. I feel like it's been a full season already, and it's only been 7 games. It's only been 7 games, and there's been a lot of emotion. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs. But again, it's not how you finish. It's how you finish this. It's not how you start. I mean, it's how you finish. And my goodness, there's a lot of good happening on both sides of the football for a team that is infamous for never delivering on both sides of the football. We're starting to see this team gel, man.
Absolutely. Well, that was what was so nice was, you know, I know that, you know, a lot of people are going to look at the first half and say, well, the offense wasn't clicking, but the offense didn't really have the ball. I mean, Cincinnati had a couple long drives there in the first half. I mean, the first drive was 17 minutes long, or 17 plays, 10 minutes long. So it's like the Eagles couldn't get into a rhythm there, but they did go down on that first drive and get points. It might have only been a field goal, but that was something we haven't really seen too much of.
Yeah.
You know, and then they punted and then they ended up scoring the touchdown. But yeah, I mean, there was just so much about this game to like. You know, there's always the negative people out there who are going to look for any negative they can find, but you got to look hard at this one. I mean, this was a pretty solid win all the way around. I mean, even down to Jake Elliott's field goals were not even close to, like, they were dead center. Like, it was like almost perfection for him too. So yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about this one a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about our top takeaways between the Eagles and the Bengals. Lots and lots of positives, man. Lead us off, dude. Where do you want to take this first?
I'm going to take it right here. The defense changed when Cooper DeJean became your slot corner. And this guy just finds himself in the midst of big play after big play after big play. And one of the areas where you notice the biggest change, and it's kind of whole defensive wide, is tackling. But there are 2 tackles Cooper DeJean made yesterday that stand out. I know the one everybody's going to think about is the 4th and 1. And what I loved about this play, and when you watch some of the replays and even the all 22, they run Jamar Chase before that little motion. He goes one way, the other way. And you see DeJean is staying with him, and he attacks him before the ball was ever thrown. I mean, he knew that was coming, and it was just a textbook tackle, go right at the leg, take him out. So, I mean, that play obviously was huge. That really is where the game changed, because you turned them over there. You thought, what the hell is Cincinnati doing anyway? And then they literally run that play. Like, I felt like that was like the Eagles of last year, like running that play on a 4th and 1. But the other play was earlier in the game. There's a little out route to Mike Gesicki. And, you know, a lot of times you see the guy over pursue that and the tight end just walks in the end zone for a touchdown. It was deep in the red zone. I mean, it was just textbook again. He came up, he hit, he wrapped, and he brought down. And I think that might have been the drive they had him to a field goal. I can't remember. But you know, Cooper DeJean has changed, and I'm not saying it's all him, because obviously the front's gotten better. But it just seems funny, man, that he's got in there and he tackles the right way.
Yeah.
Very few missed tackles, I feel like, yesterday. And that's something that we've been preaching for a while. So Cooper DeJean, man, just dude, this guy is everything we had hoped for and more so far in 3 games.
Yeah, they absolutely crushed this draft, man. It's unbelievable between Q and Coop. I agree. Like you like all the numbers. Yeah, they played the Browns and the Giants, but the numbers are astronomical for the Birds. They're in those 3 weeks, 3.87 yards per play during that stretch. The first 4 weeks before that, 5.97 yards per play. I like how you mentioned about like they didn't give up yards after the catch. They made their tackles. That was such a major issue against the Tampa Bay game when the Eagles let up, just guys in space over and over and over again, playing way too much off the line of scrimmage. And what Cooper DeJean has done, since being inserted for the Eagles, not just coverage, but his blitzing, his run defense, it's outstanding, dude. The last 3 games, Quinion and Cooper have given up 10 receptions on 19 targets for 62 yards combined.
It's unbelievable. And you talk about making the tackle, no yards after the catch. I mean, Jamar Chase has 9 catches, but has his lowest total yards of the season, 54 yards he has on 9 catches. That's because you were in coverage and you were wrapping up. I mean, you really held him down. No T. Higgins. The run game was gone. You got the defense did a tremendous job against the run game. I mean, you took Joe Burrow. And look, I love Joe Burrow. I mean, I do. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. He had his lowest yardage total of the season as well. I mean, it was just it was unbelievable. And it didn't start that way because the way they were allowing those 3rd and longs in the first quarter, it was just like, oh my God, is this going to be this type of game? And then they just found a way and they hunkered down and really just dominated the game. They took the game to Cincinnati in a game where Cincinnati was probably more desperate than the Eagles.
Even when they were getting 3rd down after 3rd down after 3rd down, that like a big chunk of that was just Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was the entire offense. So it was basically him and Gesicki for a good chunk of that first half. And at no point was I like really nervous because I felt like law of averages, they were eventually going to come down a little bit. Right. But yeah, major shout out. How about Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean also played extremely well. I thought the pass rush was pretty consistent. They didn't get home a lot, but they were there. I'm just blown away, dude. Like this was a great assessment for where the Eagles are at defensively, especially after that Tampa Bay game. And it's wild, dude. Even D. Slay went down for a little bit, and Isaiah Rodgers was out there making play. They had back-to-back turnovers.
Yeah.
On a defense that has not generated turnovers at all. Yep. So
I mean, it's incredible all around, and that's not to take away that this was the Jalen Hurts game I think we were all waiting for. And what I mean by that was he looked in command, he looked comfortable, he looked confident. It was just it was impressive all the way around.
Yeah, let's get into Jalen Hurts. Here's a few plays to AJ Brown up the middle.
I will be right back while you're talking.
You're good, man. Using the middle of the field, this was vintage Jalen Hurts. 16 of 20, 132.5 QBR. His 3rd straight game without a turnover. Straight up played his ass off, man. He needed a few weeks to kind of shake off the rust, but there's real signs that him and Kellen Moore are growing and growing. I feel like the marriage between Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts is definitely taking another step in that growth this season. Here's some more plays with Jalen Hurts. His last 3 games, Hurts has a completion percentage of 71%, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 127 QB rating. The deep ball continues to be on point. But what I love about the Eagles offense, especially on Sunday against the Bengals, was just how efficient it's become. The Eagles have been kind of, live or die with the explosive plays, which are fine and, it's cute and all. But I want this 2022 offense to become efficient again, where they're making defenses second guess themselves. They're making defenses guess wrong over and over and over again. And I think over the last few weeks, especially, we've seen Jalen Hurts and his legs become much more dynamic in this Eagles run game. Whereas the Eagles were, I think, at least at the start of the season, a pass first, run second team. They're now making linebackers second guess themselves between him and Saquon with the pistol and under center. And that's opening up so many different things for this offense. I mean, just a lot we talk about under center and the pistol, but the play action, like that's something we really haven't seen at all this season. And Jalen Hurts was like 5 for 5 in the play action on Sunday against the Bengals. So we're seeing a lot more things open up. And I think a big part of that are from Jalen Hurts' legs. And we saw it last week, 2 weeks ago against the Giants. We saw it this week where you're seeing linebackers, we're really pushing them to go left and right and second guess themselves. And it's giving just an inch lane more for Saquon to get out to the sideline and break a big run where he's hitting people and jumping over cameramen. So for me, like it's a collection of things, and it's fascinating that we're finally seeing the Eagles go under center more. That was a staple of Kellen Moore on his previous teams, and we've seen it gradually increase these last few weeks.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because there were so many things that we've been looking for. Under center is one of them, obviously, but this was the first game where they went with deep crossing routes across the middle a few times, and it was A.J. Brown a couple times. But, a guy that's flying under the radar right now, and he's playing really well for them, is Grant Calcaterra. I mean, Grant Calcaterra seems to be making 2 or 3 big catches a game over the last couple games, and it's over the middle of the field. Like, I don't know if Jalen is just starting to feel more comfortable with it, but this is what we've been asking for, and it opens everything up. And obviously, having Saquon in the backfield has changed everything because he's somebody you got to account for all the time. And these play actions have worked, fantastic. I mean, Jalen's ball to Devontae was an unbelievable throw. It was an unbelievable catch, but it's because of all the movement that they're finally doing, and it's making things work. And it's such a blessing to finally see that. And I just hope it continues on. And this is just the first step in many.
I mean, my player of the game, of course, I cheated, Rob, on post game was Jeff Stoutland. I thought Fred Johnson was terrific.
Yes.
Tyler Steen was terrific. I thought, in general, the pass protection and the run blocking was sensational, especially in that second half. And that's what just made me smile, man. Like, that's the 2022 Eagles, where they line up BVS as a fullback, and they're beating people up.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were sending a lot of help to Fred Johnson. There were a lot of one-on-ones that he had to win, and he did a great job. I mean, he really did a great job. And you figure, you're also playing Tyler Steen, who lost the job to Mekhi Becton. I know he gets called for 2 penalties, but I think both of them were bogus, to be entirely honest with you. Especially the personal foul late hit when they didn't blow the whistle. But all in all, I mean,
by the way, do you remember when Devontae got crushed on that same play and there was a flag?
Yeah. I just don't understand. Yeah. The officiating.
It happened again, and Tyler Steen hit somebody and they got called for unnecessary roughness. I'm talking about the Tyler Steen one.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous all the way around. But I mean, you just look at every phase of this game, and there's very few people I think you could look at and say, yeah, it wasn't the best game for so-and-so. I just don't think there was that much out there. I mean, like you said, I heard you saying before, with Amari Rodgers makes a play when he's got to come in for Slay, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man on the spot, right? We were talking about he's supposed to create turnovers, whatever he is, and he makes a big play, and the Eagles get the ball back and they take some time off the clock and go get a field goal. Or I can't remember if they scored a touchdown or a field goal there, but it was fun. You said it right. And in our heading for the show, it was fun again. Like even last week against the Giants was fun too, but we all looked at it and said, well, that's the Giants. This is a good Cincinnati team. Okay. This is a Cincinnati team that has been putting up points with and without T. Higgins. You got to remember, they didn't have T. Higgins for a couple of weeks as it was to start the season, and they were still putting up points.
Yeah.
The Eagles came in and kicked their ass on their home field in a situation where they were trying to get back to 500. I mean, this was as impressive of a win as the Eagles have had since probably the Buffalo game from last year. Yeah. I mean, that was probably the last time they had an impressive win like this.
Yep. Any other takes before we get on to the Jaguars game?
They said, now I didn't see the post-game stuff, but they said that Nick Sirianni was much more reserved at the podium. However, he was very fun-loving and rah with his guys in the locker room, and I'm sure that's by design. But I thought I thought the team didn't have very many stupid penalties. I thought, he did his job as a CEO this week, and hopefully they're all turning a corner now. But it's a hell of a lot more fun when they're winning like this.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk Eagles versus Jaguars and our top storylines heading into the new week. All right, Eagles versus Jaguars. The Jaguars are currently 2-6. I think it's pretty on point to say most Jaguar fans are looking forward to tanking and the 2025 NFL draft at this point. Let's look at their schedule real quick. They lost to the Miami Dolphins by 3. They lost to the Browns by 5. They got smoked by the Bills. They only lost by 4 to the Texans, Texans home game. Beat the Colts by 3 points. Lost pretty bad to the Bears, and then handled the Patriots. But shockingly, the Packers and Jaguars game was pretty close. And there's a lot of drama in that game. What is your top storyline heading into this week?
And I think a lot of that drama was because of the Jordan Love injury, and it was Malik Willis versus him. I think that probably changed things. But my top storyline is Doug Peterson going to get fired after playing his former team? Is this the week that if the Eagles beat them up bad enough, which I don't expect, I'm gonna put that out there. I do expect the Eagles to win, but I don't expect this like a drubbing like we just saw this week. But if they just beat them and Jacksonville is lifeless, does Doug Peterson's tenure as Jacksonville head coach end in Philadelphia? I think that's a storyline to watch out for. If the Eagles can come out and just kind of build off the momentum of the last 3 games. Listen, when they fired Doug Peterson, there was a lot of outrage here. Okay, how do you get rid of this guy so quickly? Because this guy, I said it then and I'll say it now. They won the Super Bowl and it was tremendous. And don't misunderstand anything I'm saying. And Doug was a big part of that. But the guy went out and wrote a book like he was the first head coach to ever win a Super Bowl. The guy then thought he could do whatever the hell he wanted and it was going to turn to gold. He refused to believe that Mike Groh sucked. Like, this guy got way too cocky, way too quickly. And the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, he's an average football coach. He's an average football coach. And that year, as we have now seen, in my opinion, was the aberration. That wasn't the new norm. That was the anomaly that took place because this team just kind of, the stars aligned for them. And, a lot of people have always said this, and it's not a knock on Carson Wentz, but if Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt, I don't know if that team wins that Super Bowl. I really don't. I don't know if they go in and win that Super Bowl. It was just kind of the stars aligning, and it was great, and I loved it, and I'll never forget it. But Dougie P's not a great coach, and I think people need to understand that he's not a tremendous head coach, and I think he thinks a little bit too high of himself, and that's what's burned him now since 2017.
Yeah. My biggest storyline is the offense. Getting back to that 2022 offense, and the game against the Bengals was Nick Sirianni's third highest EPA per play. And my gosh, I think that's the secret sauce for this Eagles team this year, is getting to being a dominant run, heavy football team to set up the explosive plays and then let that defense rest as much as possible, and let them just keep growing. For me, Rob, how many times did the Eagles how many snaps did the Eagles have under center weeks 1 through 5? What would you say?
So the first full 5 weeks, I'd say.
First 5 games. How many snaps under center?
I'll go with like 8.
30.
They had 30. Wow. I'm impressed.
30 total. How many snaps under center did they have the last 2 weeks?
I'm going to say it's close to that number again.
Yeah, 34.
Yeah.
So I feel like the evolution of Kellen Moore's offense, I think it started with New York and the Browns, where we saw a lot more under center, but some more pistol. Kind of the Eagles' shotgun offense evolved into the pistol offense, and we've seen success with the mesh. And I feel like there are definitely really nice positives coming here, where maybe Nick is kind of letting go of the reins just a little bit, and we're seeing more of that Kellen Moore offense. And it's successful. And I hate the media saying, oh, he can't throw, short, simple concepts. Jalen Hurts needs to simplify things. I disagree with that. I think they can do it. It's just they need to, like we said before, do it for 4 quarters.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes even beyond, and when we've talked about this, was it them allowing Jalen Hurts the time to get comfortable doing it in the game? Because I don't think Jalen was comfortable doing it. I really don't. I think that played into it. And, they looked at their team and thought, hey, we're still a decent team. We have weapons. We may not look great the first 5 weeks of the season, the first 6 weeks, but there's things that have come around. I mean, were we too antsy? Maybe, as a fan base, which is not at all a surprise. But I wonder if a lot of it too was, listen, let's make sure Jalen looks comfortable with this during the week before we implement it in the game, and totally throw him off. But I mean, that was a different Jalen Hurts on Sunday. I mean, that was just a different Jalen Hurts who looked comfortable, who looked poised, who looked when he knew when to run, who knew when not to run. And he looked strong when he was running. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he didn't look slow. He didn't look slow on Sunday.
Yeah, when they do those design runs, man, his mobility shines, and when he runs with a purpose, he is outstanding. They need to, and they have been utilizing more of that, and I feel like that's such a huge thing. Like if you go back to that Saquon Barkley run where he ran to the boundary and truck sticked a Bengals defender and then jumped over the cameraman. Like if you go back to that play, you'll see the threat of Jalen Hurts for a half a second made that linebacker pause momentarily. And we saw that again in the Giants game. So
even that, he was making the right decisions on those RPOs, which he hasn't really done a great job of so far this year. He looked so much more comfortable yesterday. And you just got to hope that's what we're going to see going forward.
All right, let's get into our top Eagles matchups to watch against who are we playing again? The Jaguars. man, is it going to be back to back to back easy weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles? Could this be a potential trap game, Rob?
Yes, and I don't think it's a trap game that they lose, but I don't think that this is going to be the dominant performance that we've seen over the last couple weeks. I'll say this about Jacksonville now. They're getting beat up, right? They just lose Christian Kirk. Thomas is hobbled, but it does sound like he got just a contusion, so he'll probably play. Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are two formidable running backs. That can run the football, that can tote it a little bit. Trevor Lawrence has just been terrible. I mean, he really has. He's just been bad. Not a lot of arm strength on the deep balls and things like that nature. So when we talk about matchups, the one that I'm going to be watching is Evan Ingram at tight end versus whoever the Eagles decide to deploy on him. So if it's Cooper DeJean, if they, I would not test the linebacker on him because Evan Ingram is a very athletic dude. And I think he's got to be the safety net now. When you talk about Brian Thomas being really the only Jacksonville receiver, I know that they have Gabe Davis out there too, but I think Evan Ingram's a guy you got to watch for on this offense. And I think that it would behoove the Eagles to see if you can get Cooper DeJean match up on him quite a bit. If not him, you bring a safety maybe. Even if you bring a third safety in and try that, I don't know. Maybe you see a little more Sidney Brown this week in certain packages. But I think that's going to be a critical one because, I don't fear, the outside receiver on Quinyon Mitchell right now. I just don't. I just really don't. Doesn't mean it's not going to pop it up at some point, but right now I just don't feel it. So to me, I'm going to look at Evan Ingram and I'll say Cooper DeJean for now, but really it's whoever they decide is going to be on coverage most of the time against them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Jaguars defense. Like this makes me a little nervous because all signs point to the Eagles really dominating this team. This is definitely, the Eagles offense trending up. Jaguars defense is trending down. They do not blitz, Rob. They are dead last in the NFL in blitz percentage. We didn't really see much blitzing last week. They had 7 pressures last week against the Packers as a team. They basically got carved up. Jordan Love had those short, quick throws. Man, that 7 team pressures by the Jaguars last week was the 4th fewest of any defense. Pressure percentage wise, the Jaguars are bottom tier. Sack wise, the Jaguars are middle of the pack. So I think they have Trey Walker. Trying to think of some other dudes, but I'm looking at
the young kid. Isn't Devin Lloyd on that team?
Yeah, Devin Lloyd's nice. For me, I look at Jalen Hurts versus that pass rush, and really Jeff Stoutland owning the trenches next Sunday. I got
to tell you, the NFL did the Jacksonville Jaguars no favors. They went London for a week, London for a second week at the Pack. Oh no, they were home against the Packers. I thought that was on the road too. I was going to say, how the hell do you make that team play 4 straight games like that? But yeah, no, it's that scary game because you look and there's no real name recognition on that defensive side other than a couple guys. You think who the hell's covering AJ Brown? And if they have somebody to cover him, then who's covering Devontae Smith? Who's stopping Saquon Barkley? Yeah, it's a scary, but I don't want to let myself get too excited because that's when we get disappointed. I truly believe that this game, the Eagles will win this game, and maybe they end up winning by 10 points by the end of it. But I think this game's going to be very close to what it was a couple years ago when Jacksonville came in here. Yeah. And I don't think it starts that way. If you remember, Jacksonville jumped out to a 14-0 lead in that game. That was the only time I've met Dibes in person was during that game. We watched that game together.
Oh, snap. That's cool.
But I do think that Jacksonville will make just enough plays to hang in there for at least, a half, maybe 3/4 before, the Eagles are able to extend it out.
All right, let's get to our fill in the blank segment for tonight. The Eagles will beat the Jaguars because
they are better. I mean, let's not reinvent the wheel here. They will beat the Jaguars because they will enforce the will and the fact that they are better, and they have turned the corner. If they come out and dominate them, I think it's safe to say the Eagles have turned the corner and are now, trying to become the second best team in the NFC. Notice I'm not one of those guys that's going to say that they are not as good as Detroit right now. And they may not be as good as Detroit. It doesn't mean that later in the season they can't beat them, but right now, no. But yeah, they win this game because they are better on offense, better on defense, better on special teams, and probably better in the coaching ranks right now. All signs point towards them winning because of these things. Now, I know it's the NFL, and any given Sunday, anything can happen, but if I had to pick one area, I'm going to say is that the Eagles are going to be able to put up a lot of points in this one. And that's the reason that they're going to go and win this game.
I think it's the Eagles' rush attack. I'm going to go. I don't like the Jaguars' rush defense. You saw Malik Willis get in there and really hurt them with his legs. I think this screams just another Saquon, Jalen Hurts game where they just punish them. And they gave up some big explosive plays against the Packers, which, by the way, major shout out to Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni for sticking with the run last Sunday. Like, that was a great example of like things we've been screaming at on this show for a long time. Like the Eagles had a very consistent game plan approach on offense, and they stuck with the run. And what happened in the second half? They started opening up massive holes, and it paid dividends in major guts of the game when the Eagles just really sat on the ball. So I'll go with Saquon. Eagles will lose to the Jaguars because
they fall victim to a trap game. I mean, it's really the only thing. They commit too many. Let's say they shoot themselves in the foot too often, whether it be penalties, whether it be Jalen Hurts goes back and has a couple turnovers. I think that's the only way that Jacksonville can beat them is in the situation where the Eagles beat themselves. With turnovers, with penalties, with poor tackling, those things that we saw in those first 5 weeks that we really didn't like rear their ugly head for 4 quarters. Because honestly, if they rear their ugly head for 2 quarters, I still think the Eagles can win the game. But, that's where I think if the Eagles shoot themselves in the foot, that's how the Jaguars beat them.
Yep, I fully agree. Let's get into X factors to watch, and we'll wrap it up. X factors to watch. Who are you going with, man?
X factors to watch.
Guys that are like under the radar.
Yeah.
I would love to, like, if this is a week to do it, I would love to see more Ben Van Sumeren involved in the offense in the flat. Get a few touches here or there. That would be really nice. How about Will Shipley getting a few carries?
That was such an asshole move by that official. Stop it. And not only that, when he first took off, because I didn't realize he was in the game, when he first took off through the hole and like burrowed over somebody, I'm like, God damn, Saquon's going hard late in the game. I'm like, I was like, that's Will.
Yeah.
No idea.
Great
But
run.
I tell you what, I'm going to go with the guy that I mentioned earlier who has played well, and I think he gets in the end zone this week, Grant Calcaterra. I think that there is a relationship forming with Jalen, and he is trusting this guy. He's going to him quite a few times now, and I think Grant Calcaterra gets in the end zone this week. So I'll go with him as my X factor.
I don't have numbers to back this up, and I said it on the post-game show, but like it feels like Grant Calcaterra gets more targets than Dallas Goedert went on the football field. Like
it has felt that way the last couple weeks, 100%.
Yep. All right, I'm going Ben Van Sumeren. You're going Grant Calcaterra. Who wins this one, Rob? Take it home.
I think the Eagles are going to win the football game. I think, it may not be the prettiest at times. I don't think it's going to look like the second half of the Cincinnati game at all times, but I do think the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm going to go 30-20. But I do think it's going to have to be, and like maybe it's a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, and then the Eagles put another one on just to wrap it up. So I'll go 30-20 Birds, and they'll be 6-2 heading into Sunday night in Big D.
That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a lot of friends at work that are Cowboys fans. They are defeated. They were hurt today. They were hurt.
They look so bad. And it's not just the offense. I know everyone wants to talk about the offense and Dak and this. That defense is horrific. And I know they have injuries, but even when Micah Parsons was in there, they were getting blasted by teams. They are in a lot of trouble right now. A lot of trouble.
I'm gonna. I hear you, but I'm gonna say Eagles have another comfortable win on Sunday. I'll go Eagles. They score their most points in the season. I'll go Eagles 40, Jaguars 14.
Yeah, they score. If they win this game 40-14, this town's going to get back in the like Psychoville and start like warming up the buses to go. Where the hell's the Super Bowl this year? I don't even know. That's what people are going to start saying.
Yeah, I think all the signs point to the Eagles rolling this team. Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. Rob, final thoughts, Eagles versus Jaguars. Plugs.
Yeah, final thoughts. The Steelers and Giants are playing a barn burner that is 9-9 at the half, 3 field goals for each team. Great game going on over there. Make sure you get in to watch that.
I love to hear that because who am I going up against? I'm going up against somebody on that team.
Yeah, I'm going up against Chris Boswell. Ryan Reese, who little baby couldn't even join us tonight. God, friggin' has work to do. Had ripping me all weekend about, oh, look, I have a 91% chance to win. And he is going to win. But damn it, if I didn't have the lead going into the night and his field goal kicker's got 3 field goals. So, hey, way to be right. Way to win that one. All right, buddy. You take that win. Yeah.
I'm going up against Malik Neighbors, and he's only got 2 receptions.
I need that to hold because in one of my other leagues, I was up 6 going into the night. And I had Jordan Mason last night who decided his shoulder hurt and they just never put him back in. So I'm still only up 6. And I need Neighbors to not do anything in the second half of this game. But anyway, catch me at Philly_Madness. Catch me here. I believe I'm on a post game coming up. I don't know which one, but I believe I am on a post game coming up. So
let's check it out.
Is it the Jacksonville? Is it the Jacksonville one or is it is it Dallas? I can't remember.
Eagles 2024 schedule. Week. Jaguars. Rob, you are signed up.
Yes, sir.
There it is. And next week.
Yeah, I signed up for.
Oh my God, you're signed up for the next foreseeable.
Damn it, that's right. I need you all to see my face. That's why. No. So yes, you catch me on Eagles post game. Hopefully, I'm talking about Dodgers 40-14 win. When all things come together there.
Yep. I just put out a Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean highlight reel of every single lineup against Jamar Chase video. Go check that out. That's on the channel. They were awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's even put in the plays where they're not even throwing the ball to Chase. They're just all over him. So go check that out. Been putting out daily shorts on the Eagles, takeaways, my thoughts. Go check those out. And I got some NBA draft content.
Don't do it, Dibes.
Got some NBA draft content that I'm going to start doing every Sunday. Just scouting reports on guys that I think could be of interest. The Sixers currently don't have a draft pick, but you never know. At least a first-round draft pick. But I'm going to try and do things a little differently. Last year, I crammed 2 months of NBA draft content together. I don't want to do that again. That was a lot of work. So I'm going to slow roll it. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. He is Rob Langy at Philly_Menace. I am Dives. We'll see you next Monday for Party on Broad. For Rob, for myself, stay awesome.